Bianca is studying communication and listed her public speaking role model as Robert F. Kennedy. Best of luck, Bianca.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. And I'd like to start my speech off with a question. How many of you remember what happened on February 26, 2015? Here's a hint. White and gold or blue and black? Yes, I'm talking about the dress. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the dress was an internet phenomenon that took over Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, and so many news stations all by storm, all debating whether or not people saw a dress as white and gold or blue and black. I still shudder about it myself, but I don't care what any of you say, it was white and gold. Woo! But the point of it is that this was one of the most talked about events of 2015, and the 9th most used hashtag on Twitter, with 4.4 million people tweeting about it each day, as stated in Twitter's end-of-year summary. Now, 4.4 million. Let that number sink in for a second. One picture of a dress had 4.4 million people well-informed in debating something as insignificant as the color of a dress. Yet, at around the same time in Denmark, 2 men were shot and killed in a 2-day shooting spree, which was noted as one of the worst terror attacks to hit the country in 3 decades. I'm being honest, I didn't hear about these terror attacks, and I'm sure many of you didn't as well. But I feel that it did make the news probably, but the things like the dress made headlines, and it created a legacy that people still remember to this day. I think it's great that we have such a widespread access to technology. It gives us the perfect opportunity to be more involved in our news, like contemplating what new comment Donald Trump just said about Megyn Kelly, or keeping up with Kardashians. It's all a form of simple entertainment. But is that really the purpose of the news and the media? Were we given this incredible opportunity to cross borders, oceans, and time zones, all just a click of a button to talk about these sorts of things? Why aren't we talking about the really nitty-gritty, detailed, and important things that actually have a positive or negative impact on today's global society? Now, I'm not the perfect person. I watch my fair share of The Bachelor just like everyone else does. But we do not need to spend any more than 10 minutes of airtime on the news, Twitter polls, and articles depicting who Ben the Bachelor is going to choose. So let's dive a little bit deeper into a more specific example of something that's being way overemphasized in today's society: politics. Politics to me is something that I am incredibly passionate about, but I feel it's brought up at the worst times. This is most reflected through something that happened recently, about 2 weeks ago, the Brussels terrorist attacks. 35 people were killed and over 300 people were wounded, as stated by CNN. A memorial was set up at the Brussels Stock Exchange in which mourners were welcome to lay flowers and pay their respects. But last Sunday, politics found its way into this memorial site. Right-wing conservative protesters came shouting anti-immigration chants. They were doing the Nazi salute and shooting fireworks and firecrackers, which was just overall disrupting the peace and respect of the mourners. Then came yet another protest group that was peaceful and was protesting that immigration is natural and that the people of Brussels and the people of the world are all sons of immigrants. The point of this is, it doesn't matter which side you take. It's that it took away from the matter at hand. Sons, daughters, spouses, and loved ones all have their lives permanently changed due to the inhumane and brutal acts of terrorism. The focus of the media turned to these terribly misplaced protests, and it also started to focus on the U.S. presidential candidates' responses, as radio stations, talk shows, and Facebook groups all became enthralled in what new political stances were being taken. This all of a sudden became a matter of politics and opinions versus trying to remediate this tragic humanitarian crisis. So technology, it's a beautiful thing. We're so fortunate to have something like this in our lives today because we get a better understanding of what's going on in the world around us. And it can also serve as an excellent form of entertainment. But I strongly believe the big problem is that this massive accessibility leads to us being distracted from what is truly important, things that have that positive or negative impact in the world in which we live. So in summary, our availability of the technology has inevitably led us to being distracted from those substantial stories because they're either outshined by more entertaining forms of media or they're sidelined and diluted through semi-related events. I'm asking you to all take the time to look a little bit deeper into what stories are shown on the media today and try and analyze that event's true significance. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Bianca. So, speaking of politics getting involved where they don't need to be, we'll let our good friend Dave go first.
Thank you, Rory. Bianca, don't get student up here. Well done. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One of the first things I noticed that you are using note cards today, and I am a huge proponent of using note cards. I'm not going to dock you one bit for using them. I'm not sure if anybody else is going to use them, but even though you had them, you hardly ever looked down. You kept your eyes focused on the audience. You looked at us a few times. Well done doing that. So you knew what you wanted to say. You just used that, your note cards, just to remind yourself what you're going to say. And I would encourage others to do that in the third round as well. I know you're going to get a question later and have to think about what you're going to say. I oftentimes forget about half of what I'm going to say if I don't write things down. So just want to let you know that I agree with that. Distracted by technology. Great message. I really enjoyed your speech. Good job.
I concur with my fellow judge. When I was a freshman, trust me, I would not be standing up in front of this group. And that's not to scare you. You do an excellent job. So you've got a talent that you can use in your career as you move forward. I would also agree. I thought your introduction was very, very interesting, and I like the way you kind of pulled everybody in with the details on that, and the challenges as far as the media is concerned, and the example you use with Brussels, and the way that you, as you move further into the speech, and the way that you kind of explain to the people here, this is not, it doesn't matter what side of the topic you're on here. This is a challenge, and whatever your opinion may be, I'm not trying to drive a wedge between that or what that is versus mine. But this is something it's a thoughtful discussion that we should be having and we should be thinking about. I think my only piece of feedback for